Hey y'all, it's your girl Lakierra, and you guys are now tuned in to the What We Ignore podcast.
So we are live back for a new season with What We Ignore, and I'm over the moon elated just to see, the new things that I have coming and the new topics for WWI. And I just want to, start the season out with healing. And what better way to do it with someone who has been on numerous podcasts for Newport. He's been on at least a good three.
Yep,
And
three.
they've all been amazing, and he's always just has such a outgoing spirit. He's always striving for the best, and as well as uplifting me, and
Oh,
also has become a good friend. I feel like over time, as well, just because we are in the same field. So I am so excited, just to be discussing this interview with you today. And let's just dive right into it. So how are you now, Brendan?
um, I would say I am blessed to still be here, blessed to still to have a place to live, and just even though it's a hard time, I'm blessed. But still, every day it's hard because I just started my new job a year ago, and knowing that I lost a person really close to me, and they didn't even get to see me make it a full year within my real full time, my full job. That kind of really that hits me a little hard. So, like without her seeing me make it through her first time, that's the hardest. So every day I wake up with a smile, but then I think about she's not here to see me make it to the, till I retire, So I'm bearing, I'm making it. I'm making it every day somehow. Somehow I don't know how, but I am.
Okay. I'm so happy that you were, just willing to, share something so dear to your heart on my platform. And what I really want to know is what your grandmother was like. Because you talked about her a lot. I mean, even previously, before her passing. So, just what was she like? Like, what were some of your
Uh,
greatest memories with her?
well, she's definitely was an old school grandma, literally. Um, she was there for me. Like she knew that my other parents really couldn't handle all the burdens themselves. They couldn't, she knew that they really couldn't handle me themselves. So she took initiative to step in to be my legal guardian. While I still have my two parents as, you know, um, split custody as well. But my grandmother, she was like my mom. She took over the mom role and made sure that I got to college. She made sure that I became who I was today. Through the discipline, because she was good on discipline. She was really good on discipline. Them old time whoopings and when you're acting bad. So and I'm thankful. I'm glad that she was strict. I'm glad that she was like that because I got that good old discipline. I am mature like I am today. So I'm happy and I'm thankful that I had a grandmother that was she didn't play about me. She didn't play about my bad side because she got on me when I was bad, even to the day she died. And I guess she was always positive, and she had faith in me when a lot of other people didn't have faith in me. Like going through high school, being bullied, not having a best ACT score and GPA, not really being fully really college ready. She was the one that helped me get through that. and she got to see me graduate college. You know, she got to see me beat the odds. And so I will always remember her for being around me, like being in my life at important moments in my life when I didn't think I was gonna make it, you know. So like as I've said, she got to see me speak in front of a crowd of 200 people, over 200 people at an event. And moments like those where she got to see me be the best me were the best parts of her memory for me. And she was funny. She would always smile. And, you know, I'm a millennial, so I like TikTok. And I would try to do pranks on her. And she fell for one of them. But one of them, I tried calling her. This is my favorite one. I tried calling, because, you know, it's a prank where you, like, keep calling somebody back and forth, hanging up the phone. I'm like, hold up, I'll call you back. I'll call you back. And they get mad. I was trying to, this is my funniest memory. I was trying to do that on her. And she answered it and she said, "Why you got me on FaceTime, Brendan? Oh, you know I'm ugly." I'm like, "Granny, no, you're not." And that kind of caught me off guard. And she just hung it up and see stuff like that because she was always, you know, witty, but she was a very stern and funny, cool lady. And that's what I really miss. And she, like her best friends, they said, you know, and you know, after she passed, they I'll still keep in contact with her best friends, and they told me how she said she knew you was gonna be successful, and she knew that you would be all you will be good, and you will be able to. She said, you know, they said how she would tell them how she knew when she was gone, I'll be able to take care of stuff and keep her legacy alive. And so, whenever they told me that, just really touched me even more.
Wow, that's beautiful. Wow. Um, you know, you have those memories, just to cherish and hold on to forever. Generations down, maybe, I'm not sure if you want to have kids, one day, or if you, just as you go on in life and you have more and more things that you go through and grow through, and then also as well as you elevate um, into the adult that you are now. She's always going to, be there for you, guiding.
Yep.
But I reached out to you, and during that time, you were, very emotional, and who wouldn't be during a loss, especially
Hmm.
that raised them. So what I want to know is, what was the coping process like for you?
Mm. Well, I would say starting off, it was hard for me to cope back then, and it's still hard for me to cope now because I'm still in a state of mind where I'm shocked because I literally that weekend when she went into the because you know she was going back and forth into the hospital before then, before she died. Like every other month or so, she was in and out of the hospital. So you know I could tell she was getting weak and sick. But she was only 68 years old. Too. That was another thing. She was only 68, and um, so without me, you know, as I said, I'm not really able to cope still fully because I literally saw her that Saturday, took her some clothes, you know, because of COVID. Only a certain amount of people can go on. Only one guest could come and visit for the whole day. So I was the only one that got to see her that Saturday before she died. You know, she was talking happy. She was in pain from surgery, but she was alive still. So then the next at 2 in the morning, I believe. It was like 8 a.m. in the morning that Sunday. She was gone. So I was shocked. I'm like, you know, she was just alive yesterday. She was just talking yesterday. How is she dead today? The next day after I just saw her, I got to speak to her, got to shake her hand and give her a kiss, and she sounded like she was fine, you know. So I was like literally just like this can't be real. This cannot be real. And I would say at that time I was this is the most saddest part to me. At the time that she died, I didn't we we did not know what to do with her really at all
Mhm.
because she never had conversations about what to do if she died. And and I used to try to have some of them conversations with her. But she never wanted to talk about what's gonna happen. What do you all need to do about me if I pass away? She never had them conversations with us, and so at that time, it really hit me like she's gone, and hey, I don't know where to bury her. I don't know where I don't know where any of her information is at. I don't know anything. What am I gonna do with my grandmother's body in this hospital? And so I was a little upset as well. I would say I was a little upset because she didn't tell me anything. She
Mhm.
didn't tell us anything at all about anything of that nature. And at a time like that, I feel like I would have been much better and much at ease of her passing if I would have known what to do with her when she died. Because as I said, I don't know what to do with her body. I don't know anything about funeral, that process.
Mhm.
I don't know any of that. And so that still hits my heart a lot now, just knowing she died without telling me anything. But, um how I got through it now, I just think I know she's in my what kept me at ease was knowing that she was in my heart still, and that she's I was happy because she didn't have to deal with what we're going through right now in this world, this pandemic. She didn't die from this pandemic. That's what I was really thankful for. I didn't get to see my grandmother really suffer from a daily pandemic like we're going through right now. So I was happy about that part about it. She didn't die from COVID, and I was happy about that. She died of so-called natural causes, and so. But yeah, other than that, it's just knowing that she's my guardian angel now. She's the one that's in me everywhere. She's protecting me from bads and all evils. That's what's keeping me sane now, knowing that she's in my heart. I can't see her, I can't hear her voice, I can't talk to her, I can't text her. I can't worry about her worrying about me traveling and where I'm going anymore.
Mhm.
It's kind of like it's all me, making it's hard. That's how I would say it's hard. I'm still I'm still trying to get through it every day. Still trying to cope with my job, and that at the same time. And it can be kind of hard.
And you just mentioned right there that you've been coping with your job, and we also previously spoke earlier just about your creativity aspect with your podcast. So how has that had an effect on those
Mm.
areas in your life?
Um, After losing her, it's just I couldn't really do any of that stuff like I was doing at first. Like I was drained mentally. Like I can't motivate people when I'm going through a traumatic loss I just went through. I can't be as dedicated to everything I was dedicated to after losing the most important person in my life, which she was. So I like literally after I lost her, I took a whole break from everything. And I think it feels like to me that kind of hurt me a little bit more because I was putting myself out of things I needed to be involved in because I need to because that's my calling to motivate people. So I need to be out here motivating people and being present on this earth today because I'm still here. She's gone, and I'm still here living. She's gone now. There's nothing I can do about it. I can't take that back. So I had to realize, Brendan, you have to live day by day because I'm still here. So I kind of started to get in my head like, okay, I'm gonna start back making a podcast every other weekend or every other week. I started to do good with that, then I stopped because some days are hard. Some days I don't feel like doing anything because thinking about my grandmother and why she's gone at 68 years old. and why she couldn't live to see me be 30 or 40, or why she couldn't live to at least be in an older age, is that people typically pass away in, which is in their late 70s. Why she had to leave me at 68, and so just some days, like as I said, I get motivated to do my podcast still every week like I used to do, but then I'm like, nope, can't do it. I just don't feel like doing that today. I can't motivate anybody when I'm stressed and depressed. I can't. And so they kind of really, it affected me. It affected me at work. I was kind of, when I got back, I was still trying to get back in the hang of things, and I was kind of slacking off because I was thinking about my grandmother, how she died. And, the thing that really hit me the most as well was when I got to see her. The whole it was weird when she was passing, because we got the call that morning. The family needs to come see her. Family need to come see her. The immediate family needs to get here now. We get there because of COVID, only two people can go in the room. The chaplain was in there, and I remember sing. I said, "Can I stay and sing her a song?" Because she was on a ventilator then. And I sung my favorite gospel singer from my favorite gospel singer, Break Every Chains by Tasha Cobbs, hoping that she would, be able to hear it and get out of whatever she was going through. That didn't work. Um, so whenever we left the room, the family, because they were letting other people come in there, so we went outside, and that's when she coded for the second time. No, she coded for the first time after we left the room. After she was on the ventilator and everything, she coded. And it just went all downhill from there for me. And so then I would say I got to see, well, then they called us back like 30 minutes later saying, hey, we can keep trying to bring her back, but the medicine's not working. Y'all need to make a decision. When I heard the doctor say y'all need to make a decision, my life just like, I didn't know what to do. I remember getting on Facebook at like 8 in the morning, like 7 or 6 in the morning. Oh my goodness, everybody! Can y'all please pray for my grandmother? She's in a hospital. She just called. I remember like making those statements on Facebook at that wee times of the morning and asking people to pray for my grandmother because she was, she was in her last times. And at that time, I was depressed. I was stressed. I was lost. I was lost about everything. And so I kind of wanted to give up because family was not, her immediate family was not what we thought they were. Like I thought they were on our side. Her own sister and her two brothers were sneaky, like it was a very crazy experience for me. And but I would say once we all got together, we decided, okay, I'd rather see her die peacefully instead of her suffer, because they were like, if we keep bringing her alive, we can put a pacemaker in her, but she may not make it. Her recovery will be way worse. She have to go through dialysis and all of this and that, and I'm like, we don't want to see her go through that. So once we made that decision, they allowed us to come up to the room to see her last breath. My mother couldn't go up there, but I went up there. That was the worst thing I could do. Seeing her take her last breath, because it was crazy. It was terrifying. I'm like, she can't talk or anything. I didn't get to hear her say I love you, anything. She was just her gasping for breath, and she was gone. That image still. I try not to think about that image or visualize that moment, because that was the most traumatic thing of my life. Seeing her fight for her life when she couldn't anymore.
Yes. So, such a traumatic, situation that occurred, especially with someone that, I want to constantly that took care of you, but also someone that you looked up to, obviously, and then for you to have to, deal with having to be able to take care of everything with, like you mentioned, you were infuriated because your grandmother really didn't want to have those discussions with you, and so often that happens within the African American community, where they don't discuss the will or what's going to be left to who, and as well as what would you want me to do in this case scenario, if this person has to go with this person, and for you to just have to deal with something like that at such a young age,
Hmm.
it's sad, but also it's reality, because it's something that people go through on the day-to-day basis every day, and they are in a predicament where they don't know how to get through that. And so, what I want to know is, how were you able to get through that? Because you say you were interacting with family members that uh, were being vindictive during that time and didn't have your best interests at heart, or your mother's.
Um, I would like to first say my job was amazing with supporting me. Um, they gave me, because I remember talking to them that Friday before she went in. I mean, updating them saying, going into the office and my grandmother's in the hospital this week. She just went to the hospital this morning, and then it happened. And so I messaged my supervisor, and she was really. They said they literally were able to help me get the lights. I mean, get her light bill in my name, because I was worried about, okay, how am I gonna start getting stuff, and how am I gonna start keeping up with everything? So that was my first worry in my mind was, how am I gonna keep her legacy alive in this house? Because I've lived in the same house my whole life for 20. She's been in this house for 30 years, and so I'm like, okay, I don't want this to just go to waste. So how do I start, going through this? So my job, they went above and beyond to help me get through that process of at least getting lights in my name, so we can at least have lights in the house. So my job supported me that way. My supervisor, she came to my grandmother's funeral. I was shocked.
Um, that's
She came
beautiful.
to view the body. She gave me a car with money. Like just the type of support and I was just getting started. I was still kind of new with my job when she died, and
Hmm.
so just that support from them like that was amazing. I was like, wow, this that means that this place really care about me. And so I would say there was a positive, but when it came down to the family part, let me tell you, after she died, her sister, her two brothers beat me to the house. And my mom, her daughter was so out of it. Her daughter could not believe she died. She just lost her mother. My mom was not in her right mind. She
Hmm.
was taking it very bad because that was her mother. Um, and she was shocked like I was shocked, but she wasn't as strong as, for some reason, I don't know how I was able to strongly make it through what I was going through. But I was more stronger than my mother was through this process. And so somehow before I got home, because I was like, oh no, they're trying to go to the house. They beat me to my house. I get home, they're in the house, searching through the rooms, searching through her stuff, looking for her policies, looking for all of that. Her own brothers and sisters did this. Not her cousins, her kinfolk, her own immediate family came in our house doing this to her. And I didn't know what to do at that time, because I'm younger than them. I don't know how to step up to them like, y'all need to leave. We're trying to grieve right now. Y'all need to get out of this. I didn't know what to do. At that time I did it. And so they took all of our policies. Her sister took her policy, all of her information that she, because her sister had her friends up in our house as well, looking through the policies and stuff. Because as I said, one of her friends worked at the funeral home where we had a burial, her funeral at.
Mhm.
So that friend, after she died, they all came over. They was all going through our house searching for her stuff, looking for all of her information, without letting us look. In my mind, I'm thinking, why are they doing this when I'm her grandson? I need to be looking through my grandmother's stuff to see what's going on. But they didn't even give us a chance to grieve. They did not give us her own family. Did not give me or her daughter or her other sons a chance to grieve because they were that quick to come in our house. So that was hard, knowing that wow, my family just what is their point? What is their goal? Why are they so happy for coming in our house trying to do this without us being involved? That was hard for me, but I feel like my grandmother, because she used to talk to me a lot about her sister and brothers, about stuff she didn't tell them. And she told me, watch out for my sister. I don't like before my grandmother died, she was cold. She was talking so much crap about her sister. She said, I really don't like my sister at all, but I deal with her because she's my sister, but I hate her guts. Be very careful about her. And then, she did tell me whenever I'm gone, you need to watch her because she'll mess you up and she'll screw you over. And she was right. Her sister tried taking our house from us. Her sister tried putting the lights in her own. She tried putting everything in her name. Her sister tried using her friend's funeral to try to get some side. Yes, they tried to get some side money from our policies. This house, my family, my suppose. At this point, I can't even call her my auntie. I just call her my grandmother's sister.
Mhm.
She gets no. It was so crazy that this happened. The moment that my grandmother died, we said she couldn't even get cold yet before her family was greedy and trying to get involved in her business with us. And that kind of bothers me to this day. And what really hurts me, her best friends, they told me that her biggest fear was her sister trying to take everything from her kids. That's what she told her best friends. She was worried that her sister and her family would try to steal things from her own kids. And that's exactly what they tried to do. And I really just hate how she didn't, you know, tell me, tell me how she didn't tell me. Okay, this is where this is at. This is where my policies at when I'm dead. Because if she would have told me that stuff, I would have been able to stop them in their tracks.
Mhm.
I would have been able to say, okay, no, you're not gonna do this. This is me. This is I wouldn't get. I would not have given them access to what we gave them access to because at the time I trusted them. I thought that my auntie was just gonna take it and go over it, and then we was gonna go over everything together. But nope, she kept everything away from us. I didn't even see any of her paperwork until we met at the funeral home. The day that we was signing the arrangements. That was my first time even seeing the policies that my grandmother left for us because her sister kept everything. So I would say dealing with that at that time when it was so fresh, I was not able to grieve because I was so busy fighting for my grandmother's house. I was so busy fighting to keep everything within this house with us because at that time it's like they were really trying to steal everything from us. They were going to kick us out of our own house, I believe. And I was trying not to let that happen. So I couldn't cry because I was too busy worrying about, okay, how am I get this information back? How's this A B C D E and G? Just trying to. I was very defensive towards them, just worried about everything. I was watching their every footstep at that time, so I couldn't cry at that time. I couldn't let my guard down, and I feel like that was her spirit within me because she was a very strong-minded lady. I feel like there was her spirit in me telling me, you gotta hold it together. You gotta hold it together for my daughter and my son. You know. So I feel like she was in me at that time when I was going through that time when I grieved and dealing with the craziness with my family. My grandmother was with me through the whole process. Because when I tell you this is how God works, like I would say God was very real with me. God was really real to me at that time after I lost her. Because, hey, I didn't know anything about her mortgage. I didn't know she was behind on her payments. I didn't know that we were close to being foreclosed. We were close to being foreclosed. We was a month away from being foreclosed if she didn't make a payment. But check this out. Something like at that time, we were still receiving a lot of mail. I would put, I would typically go through it and put it aside without opening. So, at that time, I was putting some letters aside that I was going to get to at a later time. So some like all while panicking, like, okay, why haven't they sent us a letter about the mortgage yet? Because I was like, I was waiting on a letter saying how much we owe. But at that time, a I got a feeling at 2 a.m. in the morning, a feeling, and every time I get a feeling, I act on it. Like every time I feel weird or strange, I act on it. I got a feeling to go pick up that letter that I had set aside on the counter in my room that I didn't even want to touch at that time. I got a feeling to go pick it up and read it at 2 a.m. in the morning. And that letter was a letter to talk to us about this is the amount of money that y'all need to pay on this house before it's foreclosed. And this was like at 2 a.m. in the morning when that happened. And I'm like, wow. Like, if I didn't pick that letter up at that time, I would have never opened that letter. I would have probably opened it, a whole month later than I needed to because it was due a couple weeks later after I opened it. So it's like, I was getting signs like that God, even though I was going through all that with my family, every time they tried something, my grandmother, the angel, she was my guardian, she's my guardian angel. So I was saying, her and God was preventing them from doing what they wanted to do. They were stopping her family tracks in their plan. So like, and at that time I would say my grandmother, at that time I would say, oh, my grandmother, because I heard about how when I went through her phone that Saturday, she stopped taking calls at noon, but she didn't die officially to that Sunday morning. So I started going through her phone, and she did not answer. Like she was not answering anybody calls. Nobody calls from like 12 till she died, and so I kind of this right here puts me at ease. I kind of came up with an analogy saying maybe from 12 at that time till she died, she was discussing with God a plan on how she's gonna make sure that we covered. So like I feel like during that time when she was supposedly still alive until she died, the whole time she wasn't talking to anybody on her phone. She was having a whole conversation with God because of that fear that she had of her family taking over everything from us. And so knowing that, everything fell in place. We started paying the bills. I was able to somehow, through her enemy, get her information to all of her accounts, so I can be able to take over them and we can continue to keep the house, pay our phone bills, because she had us on a family plan. That's just how she cared about it. She wanted us all to be on a shared plan so we all would have to pay separately for things. So I was able to so we're able to survive, and that's what I say now. We're surviving. Somehow we're making it, and it's because of her. And so that's how, as I said, you're like not knowing anything, not knowing what to do with her, to not knowing if we were going to lose the house or anything, to actually know, figure that stuff out from scratch. That was a blessing that I was able to do what she wanted me to do. Because I believe that's what she wanted me to do. She wanted me to be the one that made sure things was handled. And we're not put out of our house, so that's a good thing, you know.
Mhm.
We still got lights. That's a good thing. I still got a phone, so it's a very tough loss, but it's a blessing because I'm still, you know, I can be home. We could be homeless, you know. And if it and honestly, if it wasn't for the blessing of my job that I just got from the previous job, from that little money, and I'm gonna disclose it $650 every other week,
Oh my
trying to
God.
have a car, trying to, you know, have a phone. If I still had that job at the time I lost my grandmother, we would definitely be at this house by now. Because we were, you know, we were not making a lot of, you know, we all were not making as much money to be able to live in this house. So when I say this has been a blessing and it's crazy because everything happened for a reason. Before this loss happened, I got
Mhm.
a full time job. You know, I got a higher pay. I got, you know, and because of that, and my mom getting a promotion, you know, my mom getting a new job, a higher paying job, and my uncle and everything else being things just falling in place because of everything like that. We're surviving. We're making it. But if it wasn't for this new job, I don't know how I will be making it. So that's another thing that got me getting through it. You know, having a job with stable income at times like this is really helping me out. That's all I'll say. Because we literally would probably be in a worse scenario if things had happened if we didn't get the blessings that we got before she died.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, you were able to have a good stable income because I know we talked a lot about you, transitioning, and as well as being able to, grieve, because that was my main focus is how you were coping, how you were feeling, especially with you having to take on so much at a young age, because I could only
Yeah,
imagine.
24 at
Yes.
25. Cause no, I wasn't even 25 yet. I was still 24 when she died, and she
Yeah.
died 2 weeks before my birthday. That's another thing that's kind of
I knew
crazy. You
that.
know, I was just getting ready to go out of town to celebrate my birthday and everything, and she died. So, you know, that's the thing that's gonna probably hit me as well, knowing like when it gets close to my birthday date. Wow, my grandmother died 2 weeks before my birthday.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh.
And another thing I would say, for some reason, her mother died when she was 67, and she
Mhm.
died a year later than her mother.
And so, what I do want to ask is, um, in that case scenario, was it a situation that it was natural causes as well?
Um, I would say my family, they are tobacco smokers. And
Oh.
I would say that the tobacco has affected, I've said that the tobacco has played a part of all of their deaths because they were heavy tobacco smokers. But they did die of natural causes at the times. But I feel like if they weren't doing the tobacco, you know, tobacco, how they were doing it, they would have probably lived a little longer. Because, you know, I always used to fuss at my grandmother because, you know, what does this, what does it say on the cigarette? On the back of the, you know, the label, it says warning. This could cause severe damage to this could be the cause of death. And that was my biggest fear for her. Like, Granny, you know, your mother died from cigarettes possibly. Please, you know, I would always tell her, Granny, please slow down on smoking. And she'd be like, I'm trying, but she couldn't put the cigarettes down.
So I want to, just end this out by saying that, you know, one, God has a plan for you, and that I hope that in the near future that you are, I know you are still in the healing process, but that you will be in a much better space than you are now. I am very, very happy that you were able to keep your home, even though you had to go
Yeah.
through just through such a disruption through that process. And I know you said that you weren't able to breathe during that time, and But as I talked more and more to you, um, I could see you grieving over time. It might not
Yep.
when you wanted it to, but there's a process for everything, and that's the thing
Hmm.
about God.
Exactly.
Happen when He feels they're right, and not when you feel that they're right. And so now that you are in a state of mind where you can financially be able to take over the home, as well as financially be able to support yourself and even your family, as well as being able to have a career path that you always talk about, you want to
And a life is, and still trying to have a life too, right? Because I'm
yeah,
only 25. I'm still trying to live a
yeah,
life.
yeah, still
But
living your best life and
with
traveling.
a car note and all the other bills. So I would say, man, the bills are not real for me, okay?
That's
Like pay.
adulting.
I just had a car note. Man, man, it's okay to cry. Definitely about stuff like that. Let your emotions out.
Yes.
Let it be known that you know that you need prayer. That, and I would say having a supportive background. I'm in a supportive background I had within my church. They were very supportive as well. They were praying. Like I was supposed to be singing at Sunday at church when that happened, but they was a prayed. They were willing to come and pray with us and all of that at the hospital. And so just so, don't isolate yourself. Do
Yes.
not isolate yourself. And as I said, it's okay to have emotions, but I will also say, just to say, handle. I know death is a very death is not fun to talk about it. It's
Mhm.
not fun to talk about because it wasn't talked about. My like as I said, my grandmother didn't. I guess she didn't feel comfortable talking to us about what to do when she died because she, in her mind, I think she told my mom, "I'm not going over no time soon." So she wasn't even thinking about death, even when she was sick. She was just thinking, she was thinking about dying at that time. So I guess she didn't think she didn't have a reason to tell us. And I would say even her best friends, they were begging her to take care of her business before she was getting sick. But that's when she was really starting to get really sick then, where she wasn't able to really drive or anything. So she didn't have time. She waited to the very last. It was too late for her to start dealing with that very important stuff. So I would tell people, if you want to be able to grieve and you want your family to grieve the right way, handle business before death. Talk to them. Get a will. Get a will. Get a will. It will save you. With that, but guess what? I was at 24 years old. I was dealing with the worst drama I ever did with my life because my grandmother and I have a will. She didn't prepare before she didn't prepare us before her death.
Mhm.
And when you don't do that, things would turn. It gets crazy. It gets really, really. A lot of things could go wrong, and a lot of people aren't as strong as I was. As I said, I was very strong-hearted. It takes a strong person to get through what I went through at 24. All I would say, all of it at the same time. If I wasn't as strong-hearted as I am, or as determined as knowledgeable and as supported as I am, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what I would be like now because I didn't know what to do with her. Because I didn't things weren't going the way it was supposed to, and I didn't know anything. It would have been if I would have let my guard down, we would be at this house and everything. So it's important, people. Please talk to your kids about what to do with you, or at least start. When it gets close to when they get a little older, start showing them where all my important documents. Where the important documents set is in the house. Here, it's best to have a plan. It's best to do that so it won't be no problems, and they can be able to grieve because we did not grieve. We didn't grieve for a total of like 2 to 3 weeks because we were too busy fighting for what we had. So y'all don't want to be like that. So make sure you let your kids know, you know, have those very tough conversations that you don't want to have. It'll be very beneficial at the very end.
Yes, yes, I agree. 'Cause anything can happen at any given moment. I appreciate, you coming on here and, just sharing your story and everything that you were dealing with. I think this is something that is definitely helpful for those who have lost their loved ones during the last 2 years of this pandemic. And also, I just want to say, how beautiful it was just for you to just come on here and just be open and share your story. I genuinely appreciate that. And also, I want to know one last question. What does healing look like for you in your future? Like, what does Brendan Ward see himself in the next 5 years from now?
Um, Healing looks like for me just being able to make her still be proud, not failing, keeping our house, not losing anything, keeping my job, keeping a job. Because I made a promise to her, I'm gonna retire with this one company. So I'm hoping that I keep the same energy because she retired from FedEx. So she was there for 25 years, and when I got the job, I talked to her. I'm like, Granny, I'm a millennial, but I'm gonna try to retire because I love this job. I'm gonna try to retire. She said, you better not leave this job. I did it for so many years. You can do it too. So now the healing for me would be to keep that promise to my grandmother to stay with this one company. I gotta stay here for 29 more years, y'all. 29 more years. Woo! So I'm gonna keep that promise to my grandmother to stay to retire with one company. Um, it's gonna be hard. I'm too young, I'm a millennial, but that's my main. That's healing for me is to make her proud and to have things how it's going, for us to be able to live our life like we're living and just mm, not fail in life.
I love that. Well, y'all heard it from Brendan's mouth that you guys need to one make sure that you guys have a will and you guys have these discussions so that you will not be in a predicament to where you are trying to get things figured out during the past, and also so that you can have that time to grieve and so that you will have less family drama during that time. And so I thank you so much, for coming on here, and thank you
Yes.
for, just having a discussion like this, especially, at the beginning of the year, because people need to heal and they gotta let go of, it could be past trauma, it could be finding a way to not necessarily let go of their loved ones, but also be able to move forward. And this is why I wanted to start
Hmm.
out with having this discussion. So thank you so much for coming on What We Know podcast and sharing your story. And can't wait to see everything that you do in the near future, and also just to see you
Yes.
grow with your podcast and as well as in your career. But
Thank you
thank you.
so much for having me on. Thank you so much. And I'll say one last thing. You never know when cherish your loved ones because you never know when they will leave you. And that was real for us. We didn't know she was leaving us. So it's good to always cherish them and be prepared because you never know when your time comes. You never know when you're gonna die. Things happen, life happens, tragedies happen, very traumatic things happen. So
It's true.
we never know when our time comes. So it's always good to be prepared before that time comes.
Yes. Most definitely. Well, thank you. Thank you for your word. You gave us a word. You came on here preaching. All right. Thank you, Brendan. Bye.